Hello, darkness. And by darkness, I mean a million murdered bugs. Well, not technically anymore. This is a vegan-friendly grenadine, but, Evening, my Infernal Legion, and welcome back to Bottle Bottom with Paddy. Here I am once again making the wonderful cocktails that you are about to see with the two terrible rules in play. One, I'm not allowed to buy more booze. Nominally, at least, I shouldn't steal more booze either, but, sometimes things just happen. Sometimes things just appear. Second rule is you're here to watch me suffer. Once again, major props to Magic Josh behind the camera. We're sort of feeling things out a little with the technology on this one, so bear with us. It's gonna be great. And yeah, we come once again to the important question that has racked our brains since distillation sort of became widely popular in Western Europe. The hell do you do with gin? I mean, no, serious question. I've had, I can put a certain amount of this down to my upbringing, I guess, but gin in my own mind is always sort of, and I recognize that it's not actually English, but it's rang this sort of terrible genetic alarm bell as a sort of alarming Sassenach poison. And despite the spirits boom that we've experienced recently, not a lot's changed that. No, look, I recognize that gin has a place, it's just not my favorite drink. But in the spirit of Bottle Bottom, we have all this gin. And so tonight, I've decided I'm going to help you, because I recognize that a lot of you are trapped at home as well. I'm going to help you with the painful and all-important question, what do you do when you've got gin but you've run out of tonic? And that's a pretty nasty question. So, Magic Josh and I are going to play our favorite game. It's called Three Things. Three Things! And I'm going to show you how to prepare 3 non-gin and tonic cocktails to use up any gin that needs using.
Yep.
First cocktail. What do you think I should do with the hand? It's like...
That was better.
Yeah. Alright, so, first thing that we can do with gin. Now, I was watching Poirot not that long ago. You will recognize soon enough, if you hang around with us, that this is a thing that happens a lot in our house. And just watching some of the young 1930s ladies just downing gin like it's nothing else. Now, we're not going to do that because I like my liver to a certain extent. I mean, I'm going to be punishing it as the evening goes on. But our first cocktail is a gimlet. Basically, we are just going to... In fact, I'm probably going to stir this one over ice. So we'll... Once again, we are entirely lacking in cocktail shakers. So we're just going to have a bit of a muck around. Glass of ice in it. High tech, everybody. Once again, lacking cocktail shakers, you sort of got to take your life in your hands. So your classic gimlet would usually use lime juice, but once again, the reason we don't have tonic water is we can't go to the shops right now because it's late at night and I don't feel like going anywhere. Not for gin. Maybe for you, dear watchers, but not for gin. So straight up, measure of gin over your ice. Now this one has citrus in it, so your usual default when it comes to shaking something, it's like, heed my advice if you do have a mighty cocktail shaker at home, is anything with citrus or egg, you have to beat it silly. Don't let anyone tell you this nonsense about bruising gin. It needs to be shown the way sometimes. So what we're basically going to do is just equal parts gin, lemon juice, because I'm masochistic. Put that there. And once again, big jar of suspicious stuff, simple syrup, everybody's favorite. Sort of half again what you're doing with the lemon juice, just to give it a little bit less of that, well, I just sucked on a lemon kind of feeling. Anyone under 18 watching this, I have mocktail episodes, go there. Or 20 in certain countries, I think. I'm so sorry. Alright, friendly glass. Might work. Like I said, no shaker. So I'm just going to use this to filter out the ice. Now the gimlet is, in its own sort of way, kind of a primitive corpse reviver. In addition to getting your alcohol, it will, more or less, stab you in the face. So it'll remind you that you are both alive and awake. That's smoother than it has any right to be. I'm a little unsettled in my own assumptions, actually. Because the Sweet Jennifer is actually a relatively harsh gin. Like, it's got quite verbose character, but... yeah, I'm feeling zippy. You want in on this one, Magic Josh?
Let's do it.
Let's see how you do.
Oh, that goes down too easily.
Yeah, like this is when you remember that this is. Well, it's not quite half gin, but it's close. It's playing a. It's stolen my words. it's just snaffling. It's run off. It's over the hills. I'm not going to follow where it's going. Hold up in the mountains somewhere with a stash of ex-Soviet rifles. Nah, it's too nice. But it will stop you getting scurvy, which, you know, might be a problem. I've heard it's a problem in some places. I don't have scurvy. I hope I don't have scurvy. We've both got the same cold at the moment, so it's like a really good sort of teamwork action we got going on here. Virus synchronized, and probably actually reasonably still feverish.
The lemon will kill everything.
Well, it's like, yeah, there's like, we've got lemon, we've got poison, it's... Take that, bacteria. Full of vitamins. Oh my. So you can expand your gimlet into a more sort of ambitious cocktail. Once again, you see echoes of the same attitude in your corpse revivers, those sort of, I wouldn't hasten to call them breakfast cocktails, because that is certainly a thing that's fallen out of fashion since the Mad Men era, where like no one actually cared if you were sober enough to be competent. But yeah, so this one has like, it's chock full of vitamins, which obviously the gin is also flushing out of your body. So it's got a nice sense of balance there, but simple enough. 1 part gin, 1 part lemon juice, half a measure of simple syrup. Breakfast of champions. So, alright, that's your breakfast. You've had your gimlet. Now what do? Well, of course, you do what any reasonable person is going to do. Second cocktail. Is that the same way?
Finish him. Yes, please.
Ingredient the first, scorpion spine. It's like, I'm trying to keep it veg over here, folks. You know, we're nice people. Alright, second cocktail. Now, I'm reaching back into an odd period of history for this one. I think it grew up in the Spanish Civil War. Haven't been able to figure out whether it was a Republican or nationalist drink. I would hate to be sharing a drink with fascists, but hey, let's face it, we can reclaim it from them, and if they're not on the show. Are you going to stop me? I talk a big game. I've got a gimlet. It's like gin, good for bravery. I've done the thing again, haven't I? I'm going to do some TV magic. Cocktail the second. Panther milk. Well, look, we'll figure it out. We're just gonna roll with it and see what happens. Fun fact, I'm basically lactose intolerant, so this one's gonna be mostly for Magic Josh. Let's see how we go. Actions speak louder than words, not if you're editing the sound, kids. So, I'm just going to need another bloody glass, aren't I? What could go wrong? Stock up. Thanks, Magic Josh. Just stocking up on those. You never know when you'll need more. Alright, so what we're going to do is, once again, like this one, like the gimlet, it's a bit of an easy mixer. Really all you're doing is throwing things together and hoping for the best. Now, usually, I think and I'm going to put big quotation marks around the traditional recipe because there's a lot of different versions of this one. You're usually going to go 1 part gin, 1 part brandy. Story goes that the original was just double gin, or indeed as much gin as a frontline soldier would want to throw together. It's a reasonable amount, I suspect. I'm just going to give it a touch of whiskey for some of that warmth, and we're going to see how it shakes out. Now, the only thing that makes me a touch suspicious, a touch more suspicious, lovely Japanese whiskey here. Thank you to Owen, if you're watching. The only thing that makes me a touch suspicious, that is more suspicious than the dairy would generally, is that I suspect if I'm not careful, this is going to curdle. Let's find out. We're doing science, everybody. What do you think of science, Magic Josh?
It's probably overrated.
Yeah,
I prefer magic.
Yeah, magic's pretty cool. So we've got... and I'm going to very, distinctly cover this so that I'm not advertising for the company it came from, but it was the only brand I could find. We have a big old can of condensed milk here. So we have had 1 part gin, half a measure of whiskey, 1 part... Oh my! The blob that ate everybody! I think I just broke our PG rating. Oh my! It's everywhere. Maybe it's part of the show. Maybe it's the monster that wants to eat your bones. I don't know. I'm going to have to watch this. Holy crap. Rewind, everyone. 1 part gin, half a measure of whiskey, or equal parts gin and brandy if you've got a nice warm brandy. We top up with milk, and I'm sorry to have to do this to you, everybody, but it's here. It's grenadine. And you saw how badly the condensed milk stunt went, so I'm going to, we're going to have to do the sort of mad science bullshit here. Bar spoon of grenadine. Anyone tells you to measure grenadine in shots? No, look, I will rewind on that one. Grenadine is something you measure in drops. Anyone tells you to do an ounce or half ounce measure of grenadine, they are here to hurt you. You should run. Because even a few drops is absolutely enough to colour most drinks. And this is why this drink is sometimes called pink panther milk. Because it's pink and it's also panther milk. I think the panther is really just a reference more to the alcoholic content of it, in the way that you would have a hard drink, or what would you call it? What is it on Bob's Burgers? The horse medicine? It is just the strong animal, I think, is just a playful reference to the fact that it's probably going to kill you. So we have a nice pink colour from that grenadine. It'll add a touch of sweetness as well. And yeah, let's see how that one shook out. I get a touch of the whiskey through, which is interesting. I would have thought it'd be largely smothered. But for the most part, once again, the gin... Oh no, there's still a touch of it there. I'm getting a little bit of that buzz in the sort of in the sort of top of my throat. Just that little bit of, I'm not going to say calamus, but probably something off the juniper. So it sings through very gently, but what you ultimately have is a very dangerous child's milkshake. I'm going to send this to Magic Josh.
Reminds me of Bailey's, because that's the only milk alcohol I know.
That's true, yeah. And I mean, I think that if you're not just willing to drink this really fast, one trick for basically adding dairy to any of your cocktails is to add a touch of Irish cream as well, because that is so full of sort of anticoagulant isn't the word, but it is so full of those anti-curdling agents that it will just let the milk sit, and you can have your milky cocktail. I could bring out a vegan version. I mean, I've got this soy milk, and I guess I could blend some Busto into it. What's Busto?
What is Busto, Pat?
What is Busto, Paddy? Busto is our word for protein powder. We keep a vegan protein powder under the bench in a way that a barkeeper keeps a shotgun down there. Depending, it's like, just don't ask your barkeeper about it. The licensing in this country is phenomenally difficult, especially if you're going to use it to threaten people when they've had too much to drink. As I begin to suspect I already have. Oh boy. Yep. First dance with alcohol in a while, children. Welcome back to reality? Question mark? I'm tempted to try a slightly different spin.
Put some food colouring in the pink one.
I mean, I could add more grenadine.
No, we have actual food colouring.
It's like, what colour do you want it to be?
Pink!
Is it insufficiently pink?
It's not pink enough.
You're a monster. Vaguely tempted to try the cinnamon schnapps. Oh yeah, that's singing. Yeah, you can taste the ersatz beetle. Grenadine's a weird thing in my psyche, because traditionally the big red colour is from the shells of a particular beetle. And I just presume that the rest is a disturbing mass of sugar, but yeah, these days they use something else. I prefer not to think too hard about what that something else might be, but bugs.
What's drink number 3?
Alright, kids. So you've had your breakfast, you've had your ice cream. What a day this has been. Third cocktail!
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Dramatic music. Yes.
My rifle's all out of gunpowder, Pat. What should I do?
That's the clue, gunpowder. Yeah, third cocktail's a bit of a weird one. It's a bit of a riff on a sort of proto-cocktail from back in the day. I think you can trace it back to the Crimean War, but I may be entirely mistaken on that. Anything that I say, assume it's a lie. Not because I'm actually lying to you, but that's just good historiography. You are hearing these messages on the internet. Do not trust. Do not trust, everybody. So, who would put gin in tea? Well, for one, the kind of person who wants to cover up the fact that they are really, really exhausted at Aunt Mabel's and just don't want to deal with her prattling anymore. Look, she's a lovely person. You can forgive her, but we all have days, right? And some people who just want to throw out the flavors of gin and make it a more interesting drink, because though it has its complexities, sometimes you need a little more. That's why we've made these two other drinks. So our third iteration for our gin drinking is a variation on the gunpowder. Now, the trick with this one is going to be, first of all, knowing your gin, and second of all, knowing your tea. Because, obviously a sharp, dry citric gin is going to go better with something that's going to earth it a little more, whereas a light floral gin, you don't want to be just smothering the whole thing with whatever flavour you've chosen. So what we're going to do, I've got a couple of little examples for us to play out, and we'll see how they go. Wow, that was weird. When did I pick this up? Doesn't matter. So yeah, we're going to try with a couple of different kinds of tea, and we're going to see how it shakes out. Tea, I think, is a bit of an underused sort of flavouring element, and I mean, you can absolutely understand why, because a lot of bars do not have tea and coffee making facilities in the back, but these days a lot more do, as you sort of see, and it wrenches my little heart to say it, the explosion in popularity in Australia of the espresso martini. Magic Josh, what do you think of the espresso martini?
It often has just kept me awake and uncomfortable. That's my answer.
Yeah, that's fair. Really, it is pulling your body in a lot of ways your body was not meant to be pulled, and frankly disturbed me for that reason. So, we have a couple of special guests to arrive on the show. These attractive teapots that I'll put down very carefully, as my worktop is now covered in condensed milk. Welcome to the glamorous showbiz life, everybody. So our two teas for the evening are just a classic Melbourne breakfast, a sort of dark bitter black tea, and a Polish bitter cherry tea that I get from a lovely grocer's around the corner. So what we're going to do, makes me think that maybe I should have measured this a little more specifically, but no, I'm going to give you very important instructions now to my infernal legion. And that's just you get your gin and pour some tea in it. I'm sort of going on a loosely 3-to-1 ratio because that's what I do with absinthe and water. But that's a story for another time. Yeah, it's a nice looking sour cherry right there. All right, let's see how the two have connected. All right, sweet Jennifer, let's see what you've got. Yeah? Okay, now I mentioned when you've got a light floral gin, be careful not to smother it. And I think in this one it has largely vanished with the sort of weight of the tea leaf there. Because it's not something you tend to think about, I suppose, but a tea leaf, it does actually have quite a robust flavour. The gin exists more as a memory in this one. It's like you get this gentle texture and a sort of buzzing around the inside of your mouth. Like you've been attacked by a bunch of culinary-minded bees. They just want to know what you had for breakfast. It was a gimlet. They're not going to be a healthy hive. But in the same manner that you could perhaps use rum instead of sugar to sweeten your tea, this is sort of what you get. It adds an extra sense of texture to it, but unfortunately the flavour doesn't sing through too well. I should probably be doing palate cleanses between this, but you know, life is good, life is great. My face meat hurts.
Editing. No one knew.
Yeah, it's like everyone will assume that Paddy is swaggering and charismatic all the time. So that's a danger you got to look out for, but I think this is going to be a bit more of a ride. Oh yeah. You know, you see the sour cherry though, it's got quite a distinct flavour. It's thinner on the low notes. There's not so much umami. You stay away from the MSG magic, Josh. I see what you're doing.
Can we put MSG in the tea?
If you feel the need to, you put MSG in your glass.
Make me a cocktail with MSG in the next episode.
All right, yeah, mate. You said I have to do it on the internet now. I'm gonna do it. But no, I can absolutely see a tisane pairing really nicely with a gin. This one sings through pretty well. The floral notes do kind of synchronize really well there. I'm gonna try a little something. No one saw that. You know, you're not supposed to free pour in Australia, although this is just a big jar of simple syrup, so who cares? No one. You gonna knock me out, internet? I'm making my own job harder, really. Yeah, that's giving it a bit more life. Now, I'm going to run these by Magic Josh. Let's see what he thinks. Because, ironic fact...
First, get in the middle. Oh, there's more gin in that one than I was anticipating. I was expecting it to be all tea.
So you sort of get both. That it is like it smooths it right out.
Cherry's better though.
Yeah.
Cherry's nice.
When you consider how harsh the sweet Jennifer can be, like that has leveled it off really nicely. So, here we are. At the tail end of another bottle bottom. I've got a long way to go. But, I know you all believe in me, so that's what counts. We have provided for you three different things to do with your gin that don't involve just pouring tonic into it. So I feel like this is a win. You're prepared. You're ready for the warmer months. Or as may be the case for our Northern Hemisphere listeners, the colder months. I suppose the last thing for me to be doing is just drinking gin straight out of the bottle. Because, that's really what the internet wants to see.
No, it doesn't.